Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Transformational Storyteller Show, where we learn from impact-centered leaders
Mhm.
about power of story to ignite and elevate transformation in the world. So today I have the magnificent honor of speaking with Hannah Park Lusterman, and she is incredible. I have had the joy and the pleasure and the privilege to work with her very closely, and she's a dynamic speaker. I've seen her in action. She's an entertainer. She's a best-selling author. She's the creator of the Facebook group called From Fear to Confidence, which everybody needs that. I mean, raise your hand and put an emoji in the chat if you know what I mean, because we have all been there. And Hannah told me that she was born to touch, inspire, and motivate millions through her passion for dancing. And guess what? Storytelling, because that's why we're here today. And so we're going to talk more about Hannah in a little bit. But first, let me ask you, Hannah, thank you for being here and inspiring our audience today. And I would love for you to share your transformational story with our audience today and basically just let them know how amazing you are in all of your influence.
Thank you, Elena. I can truly say that you are one of the most influential people in my life that has done and brought me along the way, along my journey. And I feel blessed to be here, not only for us, but for the higher power that's leading us and that's within us. I always have to say that. So, yes, thank you. And my story, um, I I watched the scene that would haunt me for the rest of my life. As a immigrant and single parent, my life for us was to have a better life in the United States. My heart broke as I watched it and I handed the air hostess that would be taking my 6-month-old son back home to South America, to Guyana, so that I could make a better life for us here in the United States. It was heartbreaking. And just 3 months later, I was missing my son so much that I went home. I spent 4 days. I went back to visit him. He was 9 months old at that time. And when I walked into the room, a devastating sight greeted me because he was sitting in my suitcase the night before I left. He sat in my suitcase, pleading with me. His eyes were saying, "Mommy, Mommy, don't leave me." And it broke my heart again that I had to leave him one more time. When I came back to the United States, I found a job and I started working with one mission in mind, and that was to get a home for myself and my son. And what happened is my son, I couldn't give him everything he wanted in life, and it was a struggle for us. But the one thing I knew that if I gave him this one thing, that everything else would follow. And the one thing I gave him was unconditional love. And I let him know that I loved him unconditionally. And I'm happy to say that today, my son is an executive chef in Michelin star restaurants. He works. Right now, he's working in New York. And I am so blessed because it was a struggle. And like every struggle that there is, we grow and expand. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
Mm.
So I just want to say that the measure of love is love without measure, truly.
Mm. The measure of love is love without measure. I just love that. And what a transformational story. I have chills and I have heard it before. And I still feel like, oh my goodness, this is so chilling. And many of the audience members that we have today are moms, and they can definitely relate to what you're sharing, to that pain of not feeling like you're doing what you want to do as a mom or what you could do as a mom. So I thank you so much, Hannah, for sharing your story, not only in this platform, but in your books and in your speaking engagements and in all of the places where you go to inspire others, because it takes a lot of courage to share our stories. And with that, I want to ask you, why do you think it's important to share our stories?
Well, our stories are our experiences, the things that we've lived through. And I feel that one, in order to guide others and influence others, our stories have impact, especially the way that I learned to write my story with the story system. Yeah, because that you taught us to write our stories with the intention of emotionally impacting the audience. And that is so important because last night when I told my story, it was amazing. Everyone was spellbound. They were just, they were all ears. They were caught up emotionally in my story.
Yeah. Yeah, tell our audience. I know where you were last night, but tell our audience where you were last night and where.
I am in Safety Harbor, Florida, and I told my story at the open mic in the Music and Art Center in Safety Harbor, and with Walter Belcher. He's a famous storyteller, and he gets these groups together. And so he invited me to tell my story, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, so many opportunities open up when you learn to craft your story in an impactful way. And those opportunities are meaningful because of the impact that we make. And, you're right. Like when we actually take a moment to understand that our story is, yes, for our growth, yes, for our development and our evolution, but most importantly, for the emotional impact and the transformational outcomes that our audience are going to have. And I know you're all about that. That's why you're here. That's why I invited you to be here. And I'm sure that's why you were invited last night, and why I definitely encourage anyone listening to us who has a platform to invite Hannah to tell her beautiful story. And one thing that I want to share is that, like, in every beautiful story, there's a struggle and there's a result of that struggle, because we usually don't want anyone to experience what we experienced. And so that's why we do the work that we do. And so I love that you share that. And I want the audience to know a little bit about the work that you do. And obviously, what do you love most about it?
Well, I- I'll say that it's an unfolding journey, and I am impacting lives left, right, and center more than I ever dreamed of. This whole thing evolved into me helping women like myself who are who carry the stigma of mental health and depression. And if you had asked me at the beginning of our journey, I couldn't see this. But today I am helping women who are stuck, who are in a place where they're ashamed and they're losing their jobs and they can't find jobs because of the stigma of of mental health and depression. And I am so blessed. I mean, God has blessed me. He has put me here in this position so that I can help those who are less fortunate, that I can lead the way and I can say, look, if I did it, you can do it too. And the lives that are being impacted is, it's just starting. I'm just starting to go on stage. I'm just starting to say my truth, because I was ashamed myself.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It takes a lot of courage, but it shouldn't, right?
Mm-mm.
It shouldn't take courage to tell our truth, to share our struggles, to ask for help. And I am just so grateful that you're providing that safe space for these women to say, I am struggling. I definitely need help. And I am alone in my world, but I am not alone in the world. So I think that's really key. And I want to repeat that for you who is watching. You might feel alone in your world, but you're not alone in the world. There are people who are there who are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with, and there is no shame in that, and the stigma doesn't have to be shame. Thank you, Hannah, for doing what you do, especially because as you're navigating motherhood, as you were navigating being an immigrant, as you were navigating trying to forge your path, you have these obstacles that are real, but they are invisible. And so I'm really inspired about that and how you have overcome that, and tell us a little bit of the things that you have accomplished in that journey, because I know you're a best-selling author. Tell me more.
Yes, yes. Best-selling author was the beginning, actually, of everything, because once I wrote the story in the collaborative book, The Gifts of Pain. Here, Gifts
Yeah,
of
show
Pain.
us your picture. Show us your picture.
This book, this book has brought me, I mean, unparalleled value and recognition and visibility, and all that comes with having a book that I never imagined. It was the best thing that happened to me, because now people respect me. They see that I am not just a fly by night, that, you know, not just a stigma.
Yeah.
I found my genius beneath the labels. When
Yeah.
when when I wrote this book, I found my genius beneath the labels. Yes.
Yes, I love it. And I love that you said that, because visibility and credibility is really necessary for us to create that ripple effect, and to show the world that the world needs this work. So this is my next question for you. Like, why did you put all that effort and invested in yourself so that you could do this, because you believe that your work is essential right now? Why is it so essential to you and to everyone who's listening and watching?
It's essential because I stood by for years, and it happened to me. I with not being able to move forward, not being visible, not being taken seriously. I was labeled as crazy growing up. That was my name. I was called Crazy Hannah. And when I came to the United States and I found out that beneath that label, it was a genius. I mean, I have so much happening for me. And I must say, for all those women who are listening and know this, the women like me, you know this, but other people don't know this. Depression doesn't look like this. Depression doesn't look like coward. No, today depression has a smile on its face, because that's what we're expected. That's what's expecting of us. So when you see someone smiling, don't think that that smile that smile could be hiding something deeper. You have to go deeper. And when you go deeper, that's when you build that emotional connection with someone. And I am learning, and I am showing by example.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. A lot of people really struggle to recognize that these are invisible wounds we're carrying, that we are functioning through depression, that we are smiling through depression, that we are really thriving sometimes through depression. And so I love that you pointed that out for everyone so that we can be a safe space for others, and so that we can understand that we need to go beyond the surface, beyond the mis I would say misconceptions and the harmful stereotypes of what it looks like or what it must look like to be depressed. Thank you. So I really love this. And, I know that I could talk to you for hours,
Mhm.
but our time is almost up. And before we end our live today, I wanted to ask you one more thing. You know, everyone, I'm sure, is inspired by what you shared. And you are such a poster child for what it looks like to thrive in the midst of adversity. And the audience might be wondering, what do I do? How do I start this journey? So what is one step that you hope that everyone who is watching right now or listening takes after hearing your transformational story today?
Well, we think in stories, and in order for us to move forward, sometimes we need to look back so that we don't make the same mistakes that we've made in the past. And stories are great for taking us forward. Stories allow us to have an extraordinary life. My life is an extraordinary life today because of my stories. This is one story, but I have many stories, and everyone has stories. And if you go back to your stories and you look where you've come from, you can move forward in strength. You can move forward with the vision and the big knowing that I don't want to go back. I want to move forward. That's what's in the past.
Yeah.
Stories are so impactful. They're so important. And again, we think in stories. When you see somebody and you tell a story, there's an emotional connection immediately.
Yeah. So for everyone today, go back through your stories, reflect on those stories, and decide that you're not going back and that you're moving forward. I love that. That is great. Thank you, Hannah. So before we end, we just have to tell everyone where to find you and how to contact you and how to follow you, because everyone wants to hear the rest of your stories, which I know are so incredible.
The best way to contact me is on Facebook, or you can message me. You can DM me. That's the easiest and best way. I respond to all messages. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have 3 Facebook groups. You can join any one of those groups. One is specifically for the stigma, ending the stigma of mental health. The other one is from fear to confidence. And I recently added an extension to that, the home of prayer. I
Oh,
want people to come and pray. Feel free, with whatever denomination, that they can come and pray to overcome whatever their obstacles they're going through.
I
So
love that.
that's my contact.
That's wonderful. Well, make sure that you find Hannah. Is Hannah Park Lusterman, and you're gonna see all of that in the description below. We'll have links to all of the places where you can join her and find her. And I want to thank you so much for your time. I know that you are always on the go and doing amazing things. So I really deeply appreciate that you took the time to share with our audience today. and I love you, and I love all of you.
And I
Mwah.
want to thank you. I need an opportunity to thank you. I want to pour some love on you because you're the one. Without you, none of this would have happened. I
Oh,
mean, really, the one thing I can tell people is tell your story. And the best way to tell your story is Elena's story system. That story system is incredible. With a system, everything is easy. With a system, you have a journey. I mean, that was what helped me. So I encourage everyone to join the transformational storytellers.
thank you
Yes,
so much, Hannah. I love you.
you're
Mwah. I will
welcome.
see you
Thank
on
you.
our
Thank you.
call, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.